Since the beginning of time, mankind has always searched for ways to relieve stress from their ongoing lives. People needed a way to give their minds a break and essentially ascend their minds far away from the cruel world. In ancient Mesopotamia, now known as Iraq, agriculture was flourishing and cultivating many products like wheat and barley, as well as a new product for the people of Mesopotamia, beer. The beer was consumed in large bulks, and according to the Mesopotamian religion, even the gods enjoyed getting drunk. In consequence, alcohol addiction became a large problem in society, shortening the life expectancies of the population, as presumably drunkenness was causing many deaths. And during this time, the Indians, Egyptians, and Assyrians were also cultivating opium poppies, in which they discovered and prepared the drug opium. Again, opium was used heavily amongst the upper classes in order to relax and pass time. However, it was only creating drug addictions amongst the people consuming it, as they were constantly in need of getting high or hallucinating. As we see from history, drug abuse is not a new problem, but a problem that has existed since the dawn of time. A repetitive mistake that we keep dwelling upon in our world today. And now we have an even greater variety of drug-related addictions, whether it be an addiction to cannabis, cocaine, heroin, LSDs, mushrooms, etc. Now, why is it that teenagers are prone to using drugs as a solution for their problems instead of trying to resolve the problems/obstacles they are facing directly?
A study done in 2016 by the National Institute on Drug Abuse showed that approximately 50% of American teenagers have admitted that they have misused drugs, prescription or illicit, at least once in their life. There are 8 main factors that cause teenagers to abuse drugs. The first is social media. The Partnership for Drug-Free Kids did a study in 2017 that showed the second highest reason as to why kids use drugs is because they are becoming very popular in the media. And as we know, teens tend to follow the newest trends. For example, this is a song put out by the rapper YG promoting drinking and smoking.
That's what I really be smoking, and I really be drinking. I be going through some things you don't know what I be thinking.
Secondly, escape and immediate gratification is a huge contributor to teenage drug use and addiction. Drugs and alcohol work quickly, and they are absorbed into the bloodstream and cause the brain to produce a hormone called dopamine in large quantities. Dopamine, also known as the happy chemical, is a chemical our brain produces naturally when we feel excited or happy. Similar to the social media influence, adolescents who frequently interact with friends or family that use substances may also feel like they need to meet that teenage experience by experimenting with substances due to peer pressure and curiosity. We especially see this nowadays with the increase of vaping and nicotine addictions in high school. The fourth reason teens revert to drugs is because of depression and boredom. Teens who can't tolerate being alone have trouble keeping themselves occupied. Not only does drugs like alcohol and marijuana give them something to do, but those substances help fill their internal void that they feel. According to a study done by the Psych Central, 20% of teenagers experience depression before they reach adulthood. And when teens are feeling signs of depression due to stressful situations they're in, they tend to seek out some sort of immediate form of happiness to free their minds of sorrow. And drugs give them that immediate sort of gratification that they need, so they start to abuse them instead of seeking out more helpful long-term care. Lack of confidence is another reason as to why kids use drugs. Many shy teenagers who lack confidence report that they'll do anything under the influence of alcohol or drugs that they might not do otherwise. This is part of the appeal of drugs and alcohol that draw people in. Especially for unconfident teens, you gain the courage to do things you don't normally do. The influence of drugs and alcohol loosens your inhibitions and mood, but also reduces social anxiety. The last reason teens in this society consume drugs is due to misinformation. Teenagers typically do not understand the side effects and possible health complications of consuming drugs or alcohol. In Aldous Huxley's novel Brave New World, people inside the world state are encouraged to take a drug called soma. Euphoric, narcotic, and pleasantly hallucinant is what one of the controllers of the world state, Mustafa Munn, says when explaining the highly used narcotics. Soma sends its users on soma holidays to make them forget about their problems and relax. In times of stress, fear, and uncertainty, characters take the drug as a second-hand nature. This is very similar to our society today. Drug abuse has increased heavily within the last decade. Teenagers, as mentioned before, are being influenced by the media to resolve their problems with the use of drugs. Drugs provides the teens with immediate gratification, but leaves with terrible long-term problems such as addictions and depression. A very well-known rapper by the name of Capital Steez used marijuana heavily during the time he was becoming famous. However, he ended up becoming schizophrenic due to the marijuana side effects. Many of his peers indicated that he would get multiple panic attacks throughout the day and would talk a lot about death. and at the young age of 19, Capital Steez took his own life on December 24, 2012. This just goes to show that drugs are not a solution to our problems, and that teenagers need to start being educated more on the horrible long-term effects of using drugs like marijuana. The reasons behind the immense drug use in Brave New World is very similar to the reasons as to why teens turn to drugs in today's society. Summer promotes an escape from reality when things get tough. This is evident in the World State's motto, "A gram is better than a dam." Dr. Taskarin, an adolescent psychiatrist for the Child Mind Institute, stated that about half the teens that have untreated mental health issues will experiment with drugs, and most teens who do get addicted to and turn to drugs instead of facing their problems. The doctor stated that teens with social anxiety find it extremely tough to fit in with people they do not know, and so they start to feel singled out and rejected by those around them. Bernard is a character in the Brave New World who similarly finds it tough to fit in with society. He does not like soma as it corrupts his sober state of mind. For example, when Lenina offered him a drink with soma in it, he absolutely refused to take the half-gram raspberry sundae which she pressed upon him. "I'd rather be myself," he said, "myself and nasty, not somebody else, however jolly." Yet he later took upon Lenina's offer and drank the solution with soma in it. All of a sudden, the drink made him feel much more confident and normal, like the other people around him. Many teens today similarly lack self-confidence and feel pressurized by everyone around them. They often want to fit in but cannot, and so they get influenced by drugs and as a means to change their character and fit in with everybody else. Brave New World, stability is everything, and in order to maintain stability, the people need to be happy. Soma stabilizes people's minds, ensuring that everybody is happy at all times. Without this drug, the citizens of the world state would completely fall out of place. For example, when Linda, John's mother, was lost in the savage reservation, she felt singled out by everyone in the reservation and could not live with her sober state of mind. She craved something that would intoxicate her and make her feel better. Popeye would bring her mezcal and alcohol, but unlike soma, it would make her feel sick and nauseous. The mezcal put her in bad shape, and when she got back to the world state, the return to civilization for her was the return for soma. Was the possibility of lying in bed, taking holiday after holiday, without ever having to come back to a headache or a fit of vomiting. However, soma is fictional. Drugs in real life have extreme side effects, and drugs like alcohol and marijuana have an awful effect on the developing brains and bodies of teenagers. It also diminishes important chemicals in the brain such as dopamine and serotonin, which could possibly send them into depression and cause extreme behavioral changes. Brave New World shows that the way the world has normalized drugs, and they would rather enhance drugs by getting rid of side effects instead of helping people face their problems. And sadly, our society is headed in the same direction. Drugs are becoming more and more efficient with getting people high without giving the users side effects. An immediate form of gratification without harmful side effects sounds like such an amazing solution when dealing with stressful situations. Escaping reality, or as they say in the book about summer holidays, if ever by some unlucky chance such a crevice should yawn in the solid substance of their distractions, there's always soma. Delicious soma. Half a gram for half a holiday, a gram for the weekend, and 2 grams for a trip to the gorgeous east, 3 for a dark eternity on the moon. However, what the citizens of the world state and teens in our society do not realize is that getting high will not solve your problems. Yes, it may temporarily make you happy, but long term it will not get rid of your problems. You have to put in the work to resolve your own problems. Getting high or drunk every time you get stuck will only get you addicted and inevitably depressed. And studies have shown that the UN published its findings which predict a global increase in illegal drug use of 25% in the next 4 decades. Nowadays, new drugs like narcotics are being discovered that serve the purpose of getting a person high and hallucinated, but reducing the overall side effects. Now, will these drugs also give all the advantages of Christianity and alcohol and none of their defects? And will these low-consequence drugs soon be promoted and commercialized in our society, similar to how soma is promoted in the world state? Sadly, Huxley was right in predicting the drug epidemic our society is heading towards, one that would inevitably follow the world state's motto in that a gram is better than a dam, or that a dose of drugs is better than tackling the challenges that life throws at you. It is now up to us to educate other teenagers and the youth about the harms of drugs and prevent this narcotic push that is present in the media.